Hi everybody, it's Andrew Hutchings with you here today. Still not a doctor, still not giving medical advice. If it seems like I am, I'm really just taking the whole wide world's information and putting it at your fingertips. But this one definitely isn't medical advice. It's how to dose super potent compounds, chemicals, supplements, whatever they are, whatever you want to call them. So what do you do if something has a dosage of like 10 micrograms or 100 micrograms? You don't have a scale that can measure that. Maybe your scale can measure 10 milligrams plus or minus a few milligrams. So really, you're in danger territory probably if you're trying to use things that are in the microgram range of their effective dose. Especially if they have a toxicity, you really don't want to be messing with them. But luckily, there's a thing called volumetric dosing, or maybe that's just a fake term that, I don't know. But basically, so you take your, so what you do is, so you want like 100 micrograms. So you multiply that by like 100. So let's make it into 10 milligrams. Now so your scale can measure out 10 milligrams plus or minus like 2 or 3 milligrams. But the thing is that if you're going to, what we do is we get that 10 milligrams and we put it into like 100 milliliters of water. Let's assume it dissolves in water. So if it's in 100 milliliters of water and you want 100 micrograms, which is 1/100th of the total amount you put in that water, well, guess what? You just take one of those 100 milliliters of water and you've got your 100 micrograms. Actually, you don't have your 100 micrograms, you have your 100 micrograms with an error of that plus or minus like 2 to 3 milligrams divided by 100. So that's really good. That means you have like 75 to 125 micrograms. Now, if it were me, I would just measure out like 100 milligrams, and then you have that error of 2 to 3 milligrams divided by 1,000. So now you have like 102, 103 micrograms, or 97, 98 micrograms. That would be your range. You could only be off by a few micrograms because you're taking your error and you're dividing it by such a large amount. So to rehash this, you have to measure out a really small amount of something. So what you do is you measure out a larger amount of it. You find something it can dissolve in. You dissolve it in a larger amount of that you can then take a portion of, and now that portion of it has your desired small amount. I hope that makes sense. If you have questions, leave some comments. It's really not too complicated. You just need to find a solvent that your substance will dissolve in, and you need to make sure you do your math right. It's really simple math, but maybe if you use like the helpful formula of, actually that would just confuse you more. So yeah, just try to use your simple math skills and figure. And if you can't figure this out, just don't mess with the stuff. Or have someone who can figure it out and mess with it for you. But that's not advice, because I don't give advice, of course. Well, I mean, I give advice, that's not medical advice, so I can give it. So yeah, if you can't do simple math, well, microgram stuff isn't for you. And if you can do simple math, well, multiply the amount you want by like 1,000, put it in a larger amount of liquid, and then divide that larger amount of liquid by 1,000 to get back to where you started, what you wanted. Please like and subscribe, whether it's there or there. Comment, because it helps the algorithm. And check out my Instagram, natural_true_fitness. And I have a website coming soon. And remember, you can hire me for coaching, diet plans, supplement plans, what you do in the gym plans. I guess people would call them training plans. And I'm gonna probably call them training plans, but you're not really training most likely. You're probably working out. Some people train for sports, but if you're not actually preparing for something, well, it's not training because you're not training for anything, you're just working out. I mean, maybe you're training for the day that you need to use your muscle and protect yourself and protect your country or something, but yeah, you're probably just working out, not training. Yeah, you can hire me for a lot of stuff and I'll make sure you get the best bang for your buck. I hope you like this video and that it helps you out, but if you're confused with the math, don't mess with it because you don't want to end up getting like 10 times more, 100 times more somehow of that super potent thing, especially if like the effective dose is really close to the lethal dose or something. But if it's like effective dose, lethal dose, like a zillion times more, then yeah, that's a little more safe, but you probably don't even know that stuff. But you should find that out. You just type in like LD50, you look for the compound, but just because this has the LD50 in rats doesn't mean it's going to be the same in humans. You got to try to find an LD50 in humans. And remember that that's only the dose that 50% of the people died at. It means 50% of the people died at an even lower dose. So it does not mean that you can go up to the LD50 without dying. It means that maybe you can go above it, but maybe you'll die below it too.